Welcome back, everybody. Navigating credit cards. You know it can be a minefield, but there are a few smart strategies you can take today to make a big difference. So here to share more is certified financial planner Bobbi Rebell. She is the consumer finance expert at badcredit.org. Good morning, Bobbi, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. And this is a really important topic, so I'm happy that we're discussing it.
I am too. So let's get to the basics here first. Talk about what is a credit score.
So a credit score is like your financial GPA, and it goes alongside your credit report, which is sort of like your total report card. So your credit report is going to have everything, how you're doing in terms of where all your bills have been and what you've been paying, all your different financial elements. But the GPA, the credit score, is kind of a one number that kind of says it all and wraps it all up. And it's important to understand the different components that go into it. Things like whether you're on time to pay your bills, how much you have borrowed, how much money you owe, your credit utilization, how much you owe relative to how much you're allowed to borrow. Also, how long you've had credit, the length of it. That's why it's important not to cancel your credit cards that you've had for a long time. And also whether you're looking for new sources of funding. Are you trying to take out new credit cards? All of that factors in to make up your credit score.
Okay, and we want a good credit score, so we've got to use credit cards, but how do we do that without getting into debt? Give us some basic rules of thumb here.
Well, the simplest thing that you can do is pay your bill in full on time. That will keep you out of trouble because obviously you don't want to be late and get late fees. You also don't want to max out those credit cards because you want to leave space for that credit utilization. Companies don't want to see, okay, this person's allowed to borrow $1,000. The minute we allow them to borrow that $1,000, they've maxed that out. They don't like to see that. They like to see maybe 30%, even 10%. So of that $1,000, maybe you're only using $300 at a time. You also want to set up automatic payments because you never want to be late. Late payments are the biggest thing that is going to hurt that credit score. And of course, plan and budget so that you don't get into trouble. If you can see a big expense coming down the horizon, maybe you have appliances that you know are going to fail and you have to replace them. Maybe you're going to have to set your kid up for summer camp, whatever it is, big expenses, make sure you plan for it.
Okay, so what's the difference? I know that paying on time is so important. That difference between your statement date and your payment due date, because that could affect your interest or fees, right?
That is such a good point. And there's a lot of confusion about this, so I'm glad we're discussing it. Your statement date is kind of the end of the billing cycle. That is when they kind of put down your pencils and say, okay, this is going to be the amount that you are going to owe on that payment date. If you pay that statement balance in full, you're going to stay out of trouble. You're not going to get a late fee if you pay it on time, and you're not going to pay interest. However, if you look on your credit card bill, it might say current balance. That's what you owe between the statement date and the payment date. You don't have to pay that until the following payment date. So it's kind of like a grace period between the statement date and the pay date, the date that you have to pay the bill. There's usually a good 3 weeks of buffer there. So think of that like an interest-free loan and use that as motivation to pay that full statement in full. If you can't, you must always make that minimum payment on time. That will at least help you avoid a late fee, but you're still going to be paying interest, not just on that statement balance, but on everything you owe. So we definitely want to try to avoid that.
Right. So watch that payment date for sure. What are some ways to pay down debt fast? Which strategy do you like on this one?
So the best one is the one that works for you. Many people do well with something called the snowball method, which is paying down the lowest balance first and building from there. The idea is you get a quick win, you get motivated, and that will keep you compelled to keep paying down that debt. What is financially better and will save you more money is the avalanche method. That is paying the most expensive debt first and working your way down from there. That is mathematically, that is the best method alone, right? Because you're going to pay it off more quickly. But at the end of the day, it's what's going to work for you. The key strategy, my pro tip here, set up extra automatic payments if you can, because if you're paying interest on this debt, if you pay even an amount between statements, that's going to help you. You don't have to wait until that payment date to make that payment. You can absolutely make it early. That's going to cut down how much interest you're paying.
Absolutely. Okay, give us your website in case we want to go and look around and get some more information on this.
So a great resource for this is badcredit.org. They're going to have links to apps that will help you look up your credit score, often for free. They'll also have links to all of the three major credit bureaus that can give you your credit reports, also very often for free, at least initially.
You know what? The more you dig into this, the more you take ownership, and it gets easier from there. It's the ignoring that becomes the problem. So we really appreciate you joining us to talk about it, Bobbi. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.